So after weeks of trying to find my next project, and I have visited this one already, I think it's time to pull the pin and secure the deal. So my lift is already here waiting outside. So hopefully we can get ourselves a new project.
Great success.
So the deal has been done. So let's roll some B-roll footage from the outside and show you what I've bought. This is my Volkswagen T5 van. So this is my 2004 Volkswagen T5. I've known about this van since last year when I had a message saying, did I want to potentially buy it? It just didn't work out at the time with the Mini and that Volvo. But good news, the Mini and the Volvo have gone to their new homes. So that meant I had the funds available and I thought I'll take the plunge and buy this. So this is a pretty old van now, 21 years old it is. Yeah, 04 plate. 177,000 miles. It has quite a bit of history with it, but not as much as I'd like. So the van's only done about 6,000 miles in 4 years, so very little use. So it has been sat outside and you can kind of tell. So as you've seen from some of that footage there, it is a little bit tatty in places, and that's kind of to be expected. It has had a paint job at some point and it isn't British Gas blue. It's slightly paler. It definitely needs a good wash and a mop on it, just to bring it back with some good wax on it as well to coat it, because it is looking a little bit tired. But with a few little upgrades and a few bits sorted, I think this thing is going to be a really cool van, to be fair. On the plus side, it does have BF Goodrich tyres with load of tread left on them, on some steels, and they look pretty cool. I think they call this type of van like a swamper thing. I know it doesn't have a snorkel, but gives it that more aggressive look rather than your classic van on some like alloy wheels. So on the front end, there's paint flaking on these little covers. You can pop these off, I believe, and I am going to buy some day running lights into there. So I think it'll just look a little bit more modern, because I don't fancy getting this painted. I'd rather just replace those, probably gloss black to go alongside with that bit there and the upper grille. On the subject of the front end, it is a T5 van, but it's had a 5.1 facelift on it, and obviously it's debadged, or whatever you would call that. Back in the day, I'd call that debadge. So yeah, smooth slats on the front with no VW badge. This, however, is the biggest sort of exterior issue that I found with the van, and it is to do with the paintwork again. So all along like the swage line, the diverted line that they cut into the door, I don't know if the paint was too thick or whatever's happened, but basically it's cracked all along the lower line, and where this van has been sat for quite a while, the water on the side has just come down and then it started eating into that crack, so it's rusting, as you can see from over here. It's pretty bad, staining down the side of the paintwork. So that will need to be stripped back at a body shop. At that point, I don't know whether or not they'll want to respray and blow in and fade the front door and the back of the van, or because of the way it's on this swage line, they might get away with, hopefully, prepping it and then doing a blow-in line on that line itself. One thing I have noticed, which I didn't see when I went and looked at it, is that it seems like the fans come on straight away with ignition. There's no engine management light on. That may be an issue with possibly ambient temp sensor or even a coolant temp sensor. That kind of screams that sort of thing straight away. Although I would have thought it brought up an engine management light. Possibly something to do with the thermostat maybe. I haven't driven it that far. It was only like a 5-mile trip to get this van. So that will need some diagnosis. My mirror, driver's side, has broken. I think my mate Luke Saunders has been by on this van. Whee! But yeah, it's snapped in the casing inside. Didn't notice that until I started driving it either. So it flaps about, so I need to get that sorted. Side repeater is not working, or side indicator. I would imagine that's a bulb, but I might actually change those from amber to black. I'm sure you can probably get some smoke ones now. Just think it would tie in nicely with like the arch trims, the black of the mirrors, and down the side. And each to their own with stickers, but I've done a bit of surfing, but I'm not going to be surfing much. So the Ripcool's going to go along with the little turtle. Cute, but it's going. And I guess these guys did the interior of this van, which I'll show you now. So in the back, we have a carpeted headliner and side, and then that needs some lube on the hinge. It's got a rock and roll bed in it as well. So I've never used one of these. I've seen them. I don't even know how to open it yet. But yeah, so that will help if I want to go away and do some trips, sleeping on that, which will be decent. Also has some smoked LED style backlights, which actually look really well. I think the contrast between the dark smoke and the blue. And then everything else in here is pretty much standard. Like I say, I would imagine it's been insulated and soundproofed a bit, but they've just lined in here. So there's got to be a hinge or something on this, I would assume. Or like a locking latch. Right, we've got a handle here. Come off. Oh God. So yeah, this is meant to come off. I have just ripped the tape off. Put that back on. So a handle, does it just lift out? Ah, yes. Ah, oh yes, we are cooking. Right, you just pull that. Oh. Easy. That's surprisingly comfortable. A decent liner. It's kind of like, almost like a memory foam on it. But that'd be all right if I put like a duvet down on that. What am I, 5'7", almost 5'8"? But that's enough room. Definitely splay out on that. Decent, I like it. A lot of my mates have like custom bed setups in bigger vans. Always like roll my nose up at a rock and roll bed, to be honest. So I definitely think I'm gonna keep this. So I'm also thinking I might put one of those like cabinet designs in along this back right-hand wall. Comes up to here and sits kind of pretty much flush with the side of the bed. I know they're pretty common and a lot of Volkswagen vans have that like kind of standard camper van fit with the same upholstery inside. But for a cost-effective measure, I'm hoping I can pick one of them up secondhand or like an ex-display demo, Facebook Marketplace or eBay. That way I'll save a little bit of money and it'll add an addition to this van, being able to use it, maybe even a little fridge. The standard lights in here are gonna have to go. I definitely think it's gonna need to have spotlights in the top of this or completely take this headlining down and maybe put a wood one in there with some spotlights to break it up so it's not as dark in here. What do you guys think? Should I stick with that, put spotlights in that roof, or should I just rip it down and put a nice like slatted roof in here? So this is a 1.9 TDI, so the early model engine, and arguably from what I did read prior to purchase, the better engine or the safer engine compared to the 5-cylinder diesel. So now I've had time to look around the van in my own time. Now that I've got it, there's definitely a few things I want to rectify. So I've done a little list, the classic YouTube list. It's not a fancy big whiteboard, so bear with me. This is all I've got. So first of all, it's going to be a wash. It's pretty dirty. It has been stood for a couple of years. There's a lot of grime in all the vents, the nooks, the crannies. There's a lot of mold as well. So it's going to take a good couple of hours to give this a proper scrub down under the arches. And I am going to do the engine bay as well because it's looking pretty grimy in there. Next up is going to be that right-hand mirror. It's cracked. That should be simple. It's not got any electrical connectors. It's just literally a bolt-on, bolt-off job. Lights, the front lights definitely need some dip beam and high beam, like whiter LED. It's got those fancy newer style smoke lights, but they've got terrible like orange lights. And that might not affect everyone, but to me, I think it needs to look white and bright. Like, I guess it's almost a little bit chavvy, but it definitely helps when you're doing journeys down country lanes. If you've got brighter lights, it's safer. So gonna do that. Wiper blades on this thing, they are hanging. They're like an old school original style. There's loads of mold on them. They haven't torn away yet, but there is an MOT coming up in a couple of months. So getting a nice pair of Bosch wipers on there definitely will help. Indicator wise, the side repeater is not working on the one side and they are the old school orange. So definitely go for a black smoked option, I think. Now this is one of the big issues for the van. and that is a big service. I have pretty good service history with it. It has had a clutch. I cannot see when it last had a cam belt, and that worries me a little bit. Along with the water pump, I'll do that at the same time, and then I'll just run through the van completely. So oil and filter, it's had glow plugs I've seen. So I'll also do a diesel filter, pollen filter, air filter. I may end up doing coolant as well because I have some leftover from a previous Porsche. It's an Oat G30 coolant, I believe. So I might put some of that in as well. It helps, doesn't it? Fresh fluids throughout. It will also help when I come to sell it as well, having good solid history. Then is the arch trim. So it's got some like black matte effect over fenders, I guess. They're not proper bulky, but it gives that kind of off-roady look. Now on the left-hand side, the center piece is cracked and I cannot seem to find just individual trims. So I think I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and buy a whole trim set, which wasn't ideal, but I think realistically that's the way it's gonna have to be. So this is my number one thing with the van visually, which is that door on the left-hand side where the paint has cracked all underneath that swage line. I don't know how much that's gonna cost. With labor and paint and materials now, painting vans, cars, anything is expensive business. I'm kind of budgeting around £600. I don't know, I could be way off. Let's just see how we go. I'll have to get a couple of quotes. You also would have seen the front bumper where it's got a facelift front. The panels on the bottom have got paint flake. Now I would normally just touch them up, but obviously I don't know the paint code for this and it's probably faded a little bit. I think the gloss black DRLs on the front will give it a nice updated feel because it doesn't look too bad now, but I think that will just add an extra bit. And in the back of this thing, I definitely think now that I've seen it and I've operated the rock and roll bed, a cabinet setup of some description, it opens up the market for the next person to buy this, to do day trips or even like long weekends in it. I'm not sure I want to commit to the expense of a pop top. I know that would help with height and extra people staying in the van. But right now, cost effectiveness, I just don't want to blow a load of money. So like I say, I think a cabinet setup on the right hand side with potentially a fridge, definitely a leisure battery setup with 12 volt, with nice lights, a fridge and some power sockets. I think that's ample. And then the last one being the fans, the fact that they're running from a cold engine as soon as the ignition's on. There's obviously an issue there. I would imagine it's electrical because it's a sensor, I think, telling the ECU that it's hot. That's instantly what I think. So definitely need to diagnose that and look into that. So overall, with all of this done, I think this is going to be a decent little van. It's definitely eye-catching in the colour. I haven't seen another in this lighter, almost baby blue. Is it like a beach blue maybe? But yeah, let me know if anyone else in the comments has got a van in this colour. Any comments or any issues that you have with your Volkswagen vans that I need to look out for, or any other like exterior styling options that you recommend, drop it in the comments below on this video. I'll read them all obviously and I'll reply. So to remove the mirror, it was super easy. Door open to access 3 Torx 30 bolts and off they come. No electronic connectors on this one, it's just a bog standard mirror. So nice and easy fix, just don't drop that glass. Oh my gosh, that was lucky. I do not need any more unfortunate events this year. Bad luck smashing glass. I ended up buying a aftermarket mirror, but it was pretty much as like my OEM original one. £44 off of eBay, so can't argue with that. Gave the door a quick little clean up and degrease of any grime on it, and then fitted the new one. Absolutely no problems. All the holes lined up perfectly. Job sorted. Right, I'm guessing this is just going to be... Oh my god, I'm so popular. This is going to be a little push tab. Right, push back and out. There we go. I will just test these because I don't know which way it is polarity-wise. That looks way better. Blacked out. Extra 5 horsepower. So out with the old and in with the new. A brand new set of Bosch Aero wipers. Unclip your old ones, pretty simple, and then feed on your new ones and clip them back in. These work a lot better than the old school style. Obvious thing straight away would be the little coolant temp sensor. Other than that, it could be thermostat or wiring, I guess. But let's go for that first. Super cheap. It's like £12, I think. So worth doing that first. Hopefully that should resolve this issue. Dying to clean this thing. There is, well, you can see leaves, ferns everywhere. One positive though, it does have a brand new Bosch battery as well, fitted before I bought it. And the EGR setup and what I can see around the back all looks from the outside okay. So rookie error, I've left my code reader, I think, at home somewhere. It's only a cheap one anyway, so it might not access all the codes. If there are any codes, like I say, the engine management light is not on, but I'm guessing if this sensor is faulty, it's just telling the ECU or whatever, the fan switch or the module or something, to turn the fans on because it thinks it's warm and it's not warm. So let's give a go trying to locate this and fit it. Looks pretty simple, he says. Just a little like fork locking, and I guess just a little connector top on that. Down here, my finger. Definitely not the easiest, but it's not the worst I've seen. So let's give that a go, whip the connector off. Hopefully I don't lose too much coolant. And I've got a brand new O-ring as well, so I need to make sure that stays on. Oh God, it is gushing. Well, that didn't go too well. I've put a bucket underneath. Whether or not it's in the right place, but yeah, we've definitely lost coolant. Finally, so there is the old one. Bit of corrosion to the outer, pins inside look all right, and it doesn't look too dirty on that part of it. One coolant temp sensor replaced, connector on. Now just got to put some more coolant in it. So let's turn the ignition on, moment of truth. Hopefully no fan on. Yes, 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 yes. Perfect. So the sensor was in fact the issue. Happy days. Now I'm just going to run it up with the heater on and the cap open and squeeze some pipes, and hopefully that will bleed up okay. I know I'm going to drain the coolant at a later date and do the water pump, but for now, let's just get this operating okay so I can drive it. So using the hot air gun, it made light work of the vinyl. I highly recommend, even if you don't have a hot air gun, just using a hairdryer if you can. It gets vinyl stickers off a lot easier. All the little cracks in the bumper trims had loads of mould. I actually ended up doing about 3 washes and rinses on the whole van, applying the snow foams and over the whole body, trying to get as much fallout material off the van. Although I didn't film it, I actually did a clay bar over the whole van as well, once it was finally rinsed off and clean enough, and it is still amazing after all of those washes and the products used, how much comes off with the clay bar. I highly recommend it. Just one pass with the 3000 with a wool pad at a pretty high speed, and the leftover UV difference with the Ripcool sticker had now gone. So the side lights on these are quite cool, I like them. However, it is not the case for the dip beam. So it's like a projector light in there. It might not be as bad on camera looking as it is physically seeing them, but these are a lot whiter. There's the beam pattern going across, so it's nice and straight beam, and the kick up on the left as it should be for the UK. Same goes for the high beam here, which is in a separate part to the dip. And that is very, very orangey as well. So to sort out the dip and main beam, of course, we're gonna go for an LED. We're using the Novsight products. I've used these in a lot of vehicles I've got. They create a nice cut off, they don't kick up, they don't glare as much. They're a lot better than like a HID that back in the day used to just dazzle and blind everyone. Being aftermarket headlights, let's hope the bulb holders and everything like that are good quality, and they look pretty accessible down in here, to be honest. So I've got a H1 and a H7 set. In this particular headlight, the dip beam projector is the H7. So let's give that one a go first. So I've got the clip tang off, and then I'm just getting the bulb out now. There we go. So this is the cap piece to go in. So like I say, it's like the backing of a headlight bulb. So that's going to get clamped in. Once that's clamped in and secure, located correctly, then you just fit your LED through the middle of it. Pressure's on not to drop this. Now I've said it, I'm going to do it, aren't I? Can't find the whole drive. 2 fingers, never fails. How much better does that look now? Oh my God. So dip beam is there. It's matching the colour now, the temperature perfectly. And then if you look on the wall, nice straight beam, and obviously then the kickoff's going to the left. So the dip beam has gone okay. However, the high beam, which I thought would have been the easier of the two, the clips that secure it into the headlight, the one on particularly this right-hand side is like being bent. It's got no spring to it. So when I'm depressing it to unclip it, it isn't responding. It's kind of like dull, and it is so tight to get in there. Unfortunately, if I want to be changing the high beam on these, I'm gonna have to get the headlight out. To get the headlight out, it is the front bumper off. I'm not gonna do that today, purely because when I come to fit day running lights that should replace this panel here, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to run wiring up through, may need the bumper off as well, just to wire it up nicely. So on that note, I'm gonna end this video right here. In the next video, we'll get this front bumper off, sort these headlights out, along with doing the day running light kit once they arrive from Germany, and we'll start tackling the big service. Thank you ever so much for watching once again. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment below, like and subscribe please, much appreciated. I'll catch you in the next one.